We haven't done a lot of these tactical breakdowns because we are always discussing serious stuff, right? But we've seen that new age creators love talking tactics and whatnot, and we are going to do something quintessentially Gen Z today, and talk about formations and tactics. And even though Igor Stimac might do something completely different on the day of the games. So, hi Abreshpina, welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Sandeep, long time no see.
Welcome back.
Yes, I'm finally back on the show after getting married 3 years ago.
This reference is for all those people who were with us
I
on
I
the
woke
last
up the next day
episode.
morning and somebody's tweeted congratulations around. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, quickly discussing the format of show, we're going to discuss what potential shapes and sizes and formations and whatever, right? What do we think the Indian team will play? Sandeep, should we start with something that's caught my eye recently? I see that Master Igor is trying something new, has tried something new in the last year of sorts. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This is surprising. So yes, let me share my screen. I hope it's visible.
Yes.
Yes. So what I've seen is that, um, and this is actually new because we went through almost how many years of the constant era? I think Constantine second era was about 5, 6, 7 years, right? And we played
Yes.
a 4-4-2, and sometimes we played a 4-2-3-1, right? Here we played a here sometimes we're playing a 3-5-2. We've seen Stimac do that, right? Um, One thing I want to say before we get into the discussion is that formations are just the starting point for tactical discussions, right? What is more relevant is that the fact that they are their responsibilities that each player has, and uh, the relationships between the players. Oops, it seems Sandeep Menon might have dropped out. Just yes, internet problems, right?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, guys, I'm back home. So internet is not the most
Okay.
consistent.
Yeah. So what is more important is the other relationships between players, because, and what I mean relationships is that what does each player do with the two or three players that are around him? If I have to break it down in a nutshell, right? So what we've seen, and correct me if I'm not, wrong, Sandeep, but Udanta, who we've seen a lot of in at BFC, right? Who you've seen a lot of at BFC also, right? Um,
Yes.
Came in for a lot of fire um, with Igor Stimac, right? And now we always knew that the attacking side of it was going to be difficult against Qatar, right? But somehow I felt that was a cryptic message because I think he selected Udanta that day to shore up the right side of defense. And we saw Pujari dropping into what I can only describe as a right centre back role, leaving Udanta to man the flank. And essentially, because Akram Afif was on that flank for Qatar, right? So I think when it's a 3-5-2, or sorry, when it's a 5-2-3, Udanta is the default choice for the right wing back. And you can have a Pujari, but then, and the Mehtab is not somebody I would say is first choice. I would say a Chunga is a great option for that. So, and who's the other centre back in the squad?
Mehtab is there.
Mehtab's there, Chunga's there, Chingan's there,
Rahul Beke is there.
Bheke is there. I would expect Bheke to get the nod, right? But yes, if they want to play this, they can. But you would have to expect that Pujari will be involved somewhere there. And I think against Qatar also, uh, Stimac expected Udanta to double up on the flank with Pujari against Afif. And because all of the goals came from that side, I think that is what drew Igor Stimacz's ire. Sandeep, do you want to talk about Udanta's defensive qualities? Something that both Constantine and Stimac have noticed.
Yeah, so I mean, Udanta since his early days, since Ashley Westwood took over, he's always had that in him to go and do the, track back and keep track of the runners and stuff like that. And under Carles Cuadrat, he was given even more responsibility. So if you see how Cuadrat's wingers are, even now in East Bengal, he expects them to do a lot of defensive work.
Yeah.
So Udanta's work rate in that sense has always been high. Yes, I don't think he's having for the last 2 3 years at least the kind of season that you want an attacking winger to have. His numbers are not there. Maybe there is some amount of development left, in terms of when you get to the byline, maybe add another couple of different types of process or those kind of stuff.
Variation. No.
Variations, yeah. And he always tends to go down the byline. So there
Hmm.
was a period in when they beat Pune City and stuff and route to the final.
Hmm.
They were actually working with Udanta to come inside because you don't want to be. I mean, calling them a one-trick pony is not the right word, but you know what he's going to do. So to add more feathers to his bow, let's say, they were
Hmm.
trying to get him to come in and shoot. So he did do that a little bit for a time, but I don't see him do the same anymore. He
Hmm.
Yeah,
sort of reverted back to type.
just to add to that, so whenever, like, usually what happens in these cases is, if you see most Indian wingers also, or anybody who plays at the wing, be it the fullbacks as well, they have the tendency of going straight.
Hugging
They,
the touchline, you
yeah,
mean?
because that's also because they don't really they are very oriented towards just racing forward
Hmm.
instead of actually looking up and checking where other people are positioned, and then try and have that mindset where you want to cut inside. So even when we usually talk about uh, teaching defense as well, the initial bit that we always teach, apart from compactness, is also that you force the forwards towards the byline instead of allowing them to cut in, because obviously that is that that covers the distance between the goal and where you are, right? That's where you're supposed to be if you want to score a goal. So I mean, these are little things that I think it's the case with most Indian wingers. And yeah, I mean, I think that's with Udanta as well.
Right. Sandeep's having
No,
network
I'm just
issues.
for some reason getting knocked backstage. I can listen to everything Abby is saying.
Yes. So now, the one thing that I want to tell our viewers is that there are a couple of positions which are pretty much fixed. For example, Gurpreet starts, and I think we are all in unison here. And I think in general, uh, sorry, apologies for this. In general, 80% of Indian football fans agree that Gurpreet should start. Right. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Right.
No,
Uh,
because you also see this, right? Stimac has said that when Qatar match happened and Amrinder got his chance, Stimac
hmm,
said, "Oh, he deserves his chance because he kept Gurpreet honest, working hard, etc."
hmm,
And there was a period when he was flipping between the two.
hmm.
But if you go back and see which game who started,
Hmm.
the crunch games, Gurpreet only started.
Hmm.
His half cup semi-final, final, Gurpreet started.
Hmm.
So even Stimac knows that Gurpreet is his number one.
Huh.
Now, I know there are so many like instances people will say that Gurpreet has made mistakes,
Hmm.
but he's pulled out outstanding saves as well. I mean, against
Huh.
Qatar last time, so he is capable of. I think Gurpreet's the high end of Gurpreet is much higher than where Amrinder can be. There was a time when I thought Amrinder was probably slightly better, but I think
Hmm.
Gurpreet has worked himself way
And this
ahead.
is around the ISL 3-4 auction, right? You're
Yeah, yeah,
talking about,
around
yes,
that time.
yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, yes, yes. I figured that those were the golden days of Amrinder.
Hmm.
So Abresh, and this is another hotly debated topic. I would say the Mishra choice is not locked in at all. I know a lot of people who started following Indian football recently, maybe in the last 3 4 years, love Mishra, right? But there's a reason Stimac chose a Bose, and keep in mind Bose also has prior Asian Cup experience. He chose Bose against Qatar. What does that say?
I think there are two facets to it, to be very honest. I feel Bose is more compact. His communication with centre backs is really good. And I think he's very compact and very still. Um, and I think that helps him wade people off. Yes, he won't have the speed or guile that Mishra has, but against the opponents that we are up against in the Asian Cup, it's probably the solidity that you need more. And apart from that, I also feel if we get set pieces and so on up top, Subhashish obviously,
Hmm,
has some contribution there as well.
hmm, hmm. Correct. And just for our viewers, I like to show you guys how the team morphs, and what the Bose option does to the team, right? So the one good thing about Bose is that he can slot in across the back five. And Sandeep, you've seen him for a year at BFC. I've seen him for a lot of years. Bose has that ability. He's versatile, right? I mean, he doesn't get the
Yeah,
credit for it, but he can play center back also. For example, he
yeah,
can play left center back also if required. Yes.
yeah. But preferably in a back three if he's going to be a center
Ha,
back.
ha, ha. So what we're what this formation does, it gives a lot of flexibility to Igor match. So it can also morph into a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 when they're attacking. For example, Bose drops, right? You have Udanta who moves on, right? You have Chetri who might drop into the hole here. You have Changte who might make a diagonal run, right? Because the good thing about both Changte and Mahesh is that they they don't do a lot of this. They're not
Yeah,
really touchline hugging wingers. They're more inverted, where they like to go for the goal. And as we're seeing the revolution in modern football, we're seeing the traditional winger die out, right? The guy coming up from on the right is probably one of the last, uh, you know, last pure right wingers left. And that's interesting, Sandeep, because remember the story about how Udanta actually started life off as a striker. You remember that story, yeah?
Orko, I think he's gone to the back
Yes,
stadium now.
yes, yes. Just bringing back.
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was a striker of earlier, much
Right,
much young when he was,
right.
before TFA days maybe even.
Huh, huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the left field shouts we have, and both of you can
I
also.
I honestly think
What?
they are going to play a 4-2-3-1.
Hmm. which is
Back
which is our
five.
bread and butter,
Yeah,
I'm just going with the unconventional one that we've seen him experiment with. We expect that he won't experiment going into the Asian Cup, but yes, should he experiment, it looks something like this. And Sandeep, that will obviously mean that there's no place for a Thapa, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
because you expect him that he'd start with the double pivot of Suresh and Apuya.
yeah,
I anyway think these four spots are locked in. These five, sorry. There's Chetri, there's Suresh, there's Apuya, there's Jingan, and there's Gurpreet. I think these
yeah.
five are locked in,
Yeah,
right?
I think what there was one of the things that has to be said. Right, I'm not Jingan's biggest fan, and everybody here knows this,
Mm.
but he gives Indian team the option to play a back two or a back five. I
Yes.
think as a back five center in the back five, he's great.
Huh.
He's a great communicator. He's got character. He's got that like certain amount of zest that you need.
Mm.
Not sometimes he does these Hollywood tackles and all of that, but
Mm.
there is still that someone to push the team forward. And
Mm.
of all of the center halves, he
Mm.
is the most vocal of them. I think Bose is to an extent. He was a
Yeah.
good captain when he was in Mumbai,
Mm.
but yeah, he is really going to be instrumental in this team.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, I think this is a three match. Like you're there for three games, right?
Mm.
I don't
Yeah.
expect a fourth.
Mm.
So there is, you can play with a certain kind of reckless abandon also, because you know there is an end goal to your tournament and play full
Mm,
tilt.
mm.
And I think, yeah, Jingen being there is going to be
Yeah,
extremely important,
yeah, yeah.
and tactically and also as a personnel.
One more guy, and I agree with the Jingan bit, right? And which is why and Anwar compliments him so well,
Hmm.
right? The only other guy I can see even remotely filling the Anwar shoes has to be Chunga, right?
I don't
Because
think he'll play. He's not played at this
I
level.
also don't think he'll play. I also don't think play, but I'll tell you why Chunga compliments Jingan, like Anwar compliments Jingan. First of all, Chunga, the distribution is good, right? Uh, of the current centre backs, you would say he has the best distribution, right? Of
Beck
the
is
one,
good on the ball.
Beck is good on the ball, but if you've seen Chunga for the last 2 years, right, you'd say that the guy is solid,
He's
right?
good, yeah.
Yeah. So now coming to the bread and butter of the Indian football team, and that is a 4-2-3-1, right?
Then it's got to be Thapa.
Or is it a Shetri with a
Mandir
Manveer
up top. No,
up top?
man. You need legs in the middle, and Sapa is going to give you that legs.
Ha. But okay. So here's my thing, right? Manveer, I get it, but Manveer has a superlative work rate also.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
he's great. And he's fairly tall and, among
Yeah.
one of
So
the more built attackers that we have.
what's happening in this 4-2-3-1 is that Chetri is not going to run, right? He's not going to run, right?
Hmm.
Sorry, I'm just figuring this out. He's not going to run. This is the pretty much the radius that he has to cover. If you look at the arrow, right? Now
Yeah.
take him out of the equation. If you take him out of the equation, sorry, it's not moving out of screen, but take him out here. There's a huge hole here, right? With Manveer, what I feel is that he covers a lot of ground. I would say he has a higher work rate than Anirudh Thapa. Right? You're free to disagree, but I think Manveer is just a workhorse, and that's why he gets the nod in a lot of squads. He got the nod with a Constantine, and he kind of gets a nod with a Stimac as well.
No, I agree. He works very hard.
Hmm.
But I don't see a situation where Chetri doesn't play the three.
No, Chetri plays. I'm saying Chetri is the one in the hole. I'm saying Chetri is the one in the hole. Like Chetri used to play behind JJ, right? He'd sometimes sneak in late behind JJ. He'd be JJ who'd essentially be pushing the defense, right? With Udanta's help, with the Hali's help. Remember, it was Hali in this position, Mahesh's position last year. So leaving Chetri to make those late runs into the box and then finish off. Like it happened against Thailand. Remember the second goal. The first goal came through
Yeah.
Virat, the second goal came in through Chetri coming in late, right? So for me personally, and honestly, it's unimaginable that Thapa doesn't play because in a constant era, Thapa was the first name on the sheet. Yeah.
Um, I see with Thapa, what I feel is I do feel that Thapa provides that um again that the word that I mentioned, I do feel he brings that solidity in the middle. And I also feel like his attacking instincts have bettered, which gives us that a little bit of that creative outlet too. I'm not saying he's extremely creative, he's not, but he still would have that vision that perhaps we need in the middle,
Huh. Huh. Huh.
which is where I feel that he gets the nod instead of Manveer.
Yeah.
While I completely agree uh, with the fact that Manveer
Mm,
obviously has that presence up there and will work really hard, and
mm,
he'll provide that flexibility in the front three, to be very honest. Like,
mm,
he has that ability, he can switch to a little towards the right when Changte is coming in and so on. That flexibility would be there, but I still feel like
mm,
probably Thapa would be a more solid choice.
mm.
I think Manveer will play out wide. One of Mahesh or Sangte will be out. and
Hmm.
Manveer will play out wide.
Even I feel so, because we've seen it way too often, even in the Stimac era also, right?
And Mahesh, for all I think he's in the whole team. I think he's probably
Hmm.
in the top three best footballers.
Hmm.
But he's a little bit frail. Like
Yes.
not frail in that sense. He's not the most physically strong.
Yes.
Against a team like Australia, might that
Right.
means we might
Hmm.
choose to go with Manveer over there.
Hmm. No,
Sorry, yeah.
for example, so for me, because it's a bread and butter, we can write the alternatives, right? I One guy who's definitely not starting, I feel
Listed.
Liston Colasso, uh, probably very low chances of him uh, starting, right? Um, and I want to talk about. Remember when we spoke about? We'll speak about relationships. What happens when Mishra and Mahesh play together? Is that a Mishra and Colasso definitely can't play together, right? Because a Mishra is bombing forward like this. Uh, Liston will not cover. He will not do this. He will not cover, right? So a Mishra and a Liston can't play together, right? What happened is that a Mishra and a Mahesh played together against Malaysia. If you guys remember, we often saw Mahesh doing the hard work. We saw him tracking back, but one of the goals uh, came from, and this is where one of the points I want to discuss. Mahesh, I think, is a really quick decision maker in the final third. Right? When he's in the final third, he takes snap decisions. But when caught in positions like this, like he was caught in Malaysia, he tried to make a back pass all the way, and I think the ball was stolen and it was finished. People don't
Hmm.
remember it was Mahesh because otherwise he had a pretty good year. And this is not to shift any blame towards Mahesh, right? Because he's had a genuinely good year. Like he's given the Indian football team more than he's cost them. But essentially, a Mahesh, in order for Mahesh to get the freedom, right? Maybe Bose
Bose is a better, yeah,
complements him better. Yes,
yeah.
right. And I know that Bose is. I've seen it on Twitter. Bose is not liked a lot by the fans, right? Because they think he's a limited player and Lord Bose, and we hear all of that, right? But this is a guy with experience, with solidity, a guy who gives you a lot of variation because of the he can play across the back, right?
Look, I always feel like Mishra and Rai are the two first should be the two first option
Okay.
wing backs.
Huh.
But unfortunately, there is horses for courses right now. You are going to be in a situation where you are going
Exactly.
to spend a lot more.
Yes.
I think we saw in the AFC Champions League and all the levels, like an Indian wing back playing mostly against an Indian winger, they are
Yeah.
going to be fine. You're going to play against people in Australia playing in higher levels in Uzbekistan, Syria, all of them high level players, higher level than what they're used to.
Hmm.
So I think it's more prudent to have a more defensive minded player. So in that sense, Pujari also works better
Yes.
than Rai.
Yes.
Although
And
I do think Rai is a better player.
see, so that's the thing, like horses for courses, right? Mishra is great bombing forward, right? What he does is that he gives Mahesh that license to go in. Thus, Mishra can do this. Mishra can take up positions like this, right? But what happens if there's a counter is that one of Suresh or Apuya have to slot in here, right? Thus, and even if you see a Chetri drop and asking a 39-year-old Chetri drop, you're seeing a massive hole here. Then this is where your hole, and this is where uh, Anwar Ali will be supremely missed, and I'll tell you why. Right, Anwar Ali is really good at a couple of things, right? Especially a couple of things. He's good at a lot of things. I think he's a fantastic player. He's India's probably best outfielder, and this is including Sahal and Thapa and everybody else, right? Anwar Ali does this. He gets into these positions, right, where he's getting into midfield. He's spraying the ball to a Mahesh Manveer, right? He's making up for the holes in midfield, right? He's giving you almost an extra man here, right? He when Jingan's not the type to go and attack the first ball, right? He's done it, but with age he's slowing down. Anwar does that also. Anwar
Yeah.
Anwar does this really well, right? And Abby, as somebody who also has a license, and not a lot of viewers might know this, you want to just quickly describe to our viewers why they should be at different heights. They should not necessarily do the same function. The defenders. What Anwar Ali? You want to break it down further as to what we just discussed?
Yeah, so essentially it is about the, obviously your last line of defense is your keeper, right?
Hmm.
um and then when you have somebody more agile along with a person who can hold the fort, it it allows for you to actually play from the back and have a direct connect between your forward and your defender. Like the usually the thing that we see with Gurpreet making the long ball and reaching Chetri, that we have seen a number of times.
Hmm.
So with a defender who is comfortable with the ball and can take it forward, if say for example your left back or your right back can slot in and help the central defender, that
Hmm.
one person who is the one central defender who is very comfortable with the ball can go ahead and
Hmm.
actually sort of hold this
Hmm.
your center towards the
Yeah.
close to your half line,
Uh,
and provide solidity over there also, which allows for your midfielders to go forward and make a more attacking formation.
hmm.
So that is how that movement happens,
Ha. Ha.
which is why, guys, formation, as much as it looks great
Hmm.
on paper, it's not,
It's a
it
fluid.
doesn't define the game
Ha.
because it keeps changing.
Yeah.
It keeps changing according to the changing people and according to different situations in the game. So it's not like solid as to you, if you start with a 4-2-3-1, you will end with a 4-2-3-1.
Hmm. Hmm.
Absolutely.
Correct.
I think
And
it's about time that somebody said these things, because I always
uh,
get really annoyed when people say it's 4-2-2 or
hmm.
4-3-3 or 4-2-2-2 or whatever.
It's a fluid
I
thing.
mean,
So
3-5-2 and 5-2-3 is pretty much the same, right? They're a
the
little
same,
bit
yeah, two
behind,
sides of
little
the
bit
same coin. Yeah.
forward.
No, like I said, the
Yeah.
formation's just the first part of. That's how you. That's it. That is your rest formation, right? But everything else is fluid. Everything else depends on the relations. For example, what is the relation between a Suresh, a Bose, and a Beke, right? That will probably define what happens in this area of the pitch, especially when the opposition has the ball or when we have the ball also, right? So,
I think I attended one tactical session done by Juan Fernando, maybe just after he moved
Yes.
to ATK
Yeah, I
Portugal,
think,
so maybe
yeah.
2 years ago.
hmm, hmm. No, no,
And
this
then
was when he was at
the
FC
way,
Goa. FC Goa had conducted a session on
you know,
this.
so they had
Yeah.
conducted one. I
Huh.
attended that. Then
Hmm.
he himself had reached out to few
Journalists.
to be
Yeah.
we were a few things, and he was saying that,
Hmm.
uh, it's not just about the formation, right? It's also about what you're feeling at certain point in time. Are you confident? Have you had a good, relationship with the player? Like you mentioned, the one ahead. Are you used to playing with him? So if you concede a goal, maybe your press will not be. It will not work well for you to do high press because you are a little down. So you might be the half second
Hmm.
late. So the coaching at that level, it's all about so much about
Hmm.
mental and man management and game management,
Huh.
momentum of the game. So
Hmm.
depending on so many different things, right? So I assume India is going to sit back. I don't see them build up at all. So you're mostly going to do one pass
Hmm.
long and you're hoping that you can hold the ball and play one of the front three. In this
Huh.
situation, looking at
Hmm.
formation is a little like undercooked in some sense, but like it's a starting
Huh.
point, so that knows where to line up
It's
when the
just,
ball is kicked in the beginning.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, what I expect is that India will pretty much be playing something like this. You expect ki, uh, like you expect ki they'll all tuck in, and whichever the side the attack is coming from, maybe the winger drops back, right? You have a Chetri also tuck in. You have a Manvi somewhere here and so you have the striker here and you have the out ball. If the attack's coming from this side, you're looking at the other winger maybe maintaining his height. right? Height is a football term where we're saying that
And
there are different heights. Yeah. So
since we
Hmm.
have, sorry, since we have Chetri or Thapa as the option, if it is Chetri, I don't think he's going to drop
he's going to
in.
drop back.
If
Yeah.
it's Thapa, definitely the drop is
Mm.
happening. But if it's Chetri, I don't think the drop is happening.
Yeah. And
Maybe Chetri will be
and
somewhere
that
on
is
that
the problem.
line,
Yeah.
somewhere on
and
there.
and that is a problem, right? That is the huge gap that we
But
are
when you see him live, right, he
mm,
presses a lot. Chetri, despite his age, he presses a
mm,
lot. A lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
them are like, it didn't
mm,
work because I guess for that Bangalore FC team, nobody else pressed with him. But he did press a lot with his.
ha, ha, ha. And I think there was a left field shout where somebody said, "Oh, I want Chunga here at right back," right? Because they'd seen him with the Asian Games, and I'd seen him in the Asian Games, right? He was solid, but Chunga's not the fastest of players. Chunga's strengths don't lie in tracking back really fast. Chunga's strengths are that he has very good anticipation, right? He has very good calmness on the ball, and he can sort of be a mini Anwar where he can drive, right? He can play the ball around, but of course, nobody can do what Anwar Ali does. And I think when we had Floyd, also Floyd did mention, and this was a couple of years ago. He said, on this day, Anwar Ali is probably the best. And yeah, this we were speaking when India did qualify, right, to the Asian Cup finally, when we won the match 4-0 against Hong Kong. So we witnessed a superlative Anwar Ali performance on that day. So I think for me that's a huge miss. But I don't even think Chunga gets in, like rightly said, Sandeep. I think it's Beke
Hmm.
who's the other centre back here.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
think
It's so sad that we are missing Jeekson. I think Jeekson would have made a major difference in this game,
who
in this team, not the
Yeah.
game.
Then who do
Yeah.
you think drops out for Jigsaw
If
then?
Jeekson was in, I think Thapa would be on the bench.
Yeah, even I think so, because we were saying this and we were speaking with, I think, Stimach, uh, and surprisingly we kind of lambast Constantine, but Constantine preferred Thapa because he could still unlock the final third. Of course, Constantine never had Sahal, right? And for me, if Sahal was fit, there's no discussion for who takes this slot, right? There's no
Yeah.
discussion at all for me. But because Sahal is injured, because we expect him to miss the first two matches, right? Because not a great thing to risk him, especially with the World Cup qualifiers. We've seen Stimach when in the absence of creativity, and Sahal's also got the cold shoulder from Stimach sometimes, right? We've
Hmm.
seen him opt for the three bruisers in midfield, right? Also, the Apuya controversy that happened earlier this year, the forms and whatnot, right?
I think we're past that
We're
at this
past
point.
that, yeah.
I
But
think he's realized we need Hapuya.
yeah, I mean, if you saw Qatar, you would definitely say that,
Yeah.
right?
He's
This
the
is a
one
guy
with
who
the out ball in that team.
exactly this no is a
The only,
more than the out ball. This is the guy who can hold the ball here,
yeah,
right? Who can try and stitch play together, like who's so calm in the face of pressure, like because Qatar were relentless. I think both of you saw that match, right? Qatar
yeah.
relentless. The only guy who went toe to toe with Qatar was this guy, Apuya, right?
And there is also like if you look at that, let's say Thapa plays. I'm a Thapa fan, like as you both
Huh.
know, because
As
I
are
keep.
all of
Yeah,
us who've
I
seen.
always feel like he should play because he does give you a maximum
Huh.
effort, and he's a coach's
Huh.
player. He'll do what the coach wants.
Huh.
But what we've seen from the other two, Suresh and Apuya, is
Hmm.
that this season you saw Suresh, at least in Bangalore FC, being given a lot more license to be more creative.
Roam for Yeah, more roam
Yeah, go
forward. Yeah.
forward, get into the box and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But it's not really worked out for him, as well as it means sometimes his decision making is a little bit off. Like the pass is half a
Hmm.
second late, or he doesn't see the obvious runs and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And I did speak to him about it after the game, and he said, "Yeah, yeah, that's something that I'm working on to improve." So in this team, as it stands,
Hmm.
Apuya is the one in middle. So there is that when you're not that comfortable and confident on the ball, there is a little bit of
Hmm.
that rush.
Hmm.
And,
Hmm.
and Apuya is the one guy who's Like he's
Hmm.
that deep breath you need in the middle of a frantic situation, right? He is in
Hmm.
midfield who is going to give you like, okay, he's not going to lose the ball. Just let's just take a
Hmm.
breath. Let him take that half a second extra that we need so that we can all just relax a little bit. So he is
Hmm.
unnegotiable, non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
And Suresh
Right.
also,
Right.
because you need that runner in the middle.
Hmm. Huh.
You know
Essentially,
that story here? That Harry
well,
Redknapp said.
yeah.
Harry Redknapp was telling a story about Tottenham, and they had a player
Hmm.
called Will Palacios
Hmm.
in the midfield, and he
Hmm.
said, Harry Redknapp said,
Hmm.
all you have to do is go hound the ball, get it, and give it to
Hmm.
Modric. I don't care even if
Hmm.
he's 2 feet away from you. You take the ball, you
Hmm.
give it to Modric. You don't do
Due
anything
to
else.
Modric. Uh,
So it's the same goal.
essentially, yeah, no, essentially that is our that do come to the tactic part of it, which what thing that match will be telling them. Essentially, they'll be telling them just give it to Apuya, just give it to Apuya and see what happens, right? And also to both of you, I wanted to talk to you about two players who I always feel give it their all, but Indian football, like I said, loves of flashy ballers, like in any other country, to be fair, right? To be fair to the fans, right? But these two players, I think, deserve way more than the shaft they get. Because even today, on one of our questions was that I don't like the Pujari 1v1, right? So I'm talking about one Nikhil Pujari, who I think has done enough to cement his place, right? And the
Yes.
other Manveer Singh, yeah. So these two, Abby, do you
I
want to
mean,
start with?
better if
Uh,
Nikhil had better PR, that backheel
hmm.
pass would have been for
Hmm.
3 years in
Oh, that
Indian
that
football.
was a crazy
Yes.
backheel.
Yeah,
That was a
if
Yeah.
he
crazy
had better
backheel pass,
PR,
and
he would have been living off that for 4 years.
4 years, yeah. Like a certain player in this squad only,
Yeah, yeah.
who's living off his performances 3 years ago. And if you look at the squad list, you'll know who we're speaking about. But we won't speak about that person because they're not in the reckoning here. These 15, 16 people only are. And Manveer Singh, again, once again against Kuwait, ran his lungs out like whatever, right? And that goal saw him cutting in from here, making a crazy run, beating the Kuwaiti left back, and then slotting it in, right? Like,
Manveer has his moments, which is
mhm,
why we had all that, like, just a while back, we had that discussion about whether we would have Manveer or, Manveer up top, Chetri here, or Thapa at the center position, and uh, Chetri up. So, yes, Manveer, for all the hard work that he puts in and for his moments also, there are during a game, not just with his hard work, but he has his moments where he is he goes absolutely berserk and he's crazy good. So he
mm,
has those moments.
mm,
uh, but again, I mean, uh, just like we spoke about just a while back, it's all about the
mm,
overall relationships on the field.
mm. Correct.
So I mean, any coach has to make a decision according to that.
Okay. Okay. I'm not discussing the other variation, which is essentially a variation of this only, which is where we play a more flatter midfield, and Thapa can also play that. Obviously, that will change as and when game situation dictates. Let's just take some questions from YouTube,
Yeah.
and we'll also take the questions from Twitter. First question from Bhardwaj Reddy. Also, yo guys, welcome back, Sandeep, from
Thank you.
yeah. Uh, when life gives you a Sandeep, become a Menon, not a Vanga. But I'm kidding, right? Um, will will Stimach go for first 25-30 minutes full attack or wait for the second and blaze all his guns? I don't think India's strategy is to go all out in the first
I
10,
don't think India's strategy is to blaze any gun.
any gun at all, especially at the Asian.
Just to
But
sit
don't you
back.
think
Go on.
the way
Was
they
it?
played against Qatar, they didn't take a like they were ready to take the game on
Huh,
right from the beginning,
huh,
right?
huh.
And that's how we considered the first goal very early. We considered the second goal very early in the second half.
Hmm,
But
hmm,
it looked like that chest thumping sort of an attitude is there only.
hmm. But I this whole taking the game on, what I saw is that essentially when they went a goal down so early, right, they didn't have an option. They didn't have, because they were chasing the game from then on, right? I think the idea was to feel them out for the first 10 odd minutes, was to play a bit of tactical chess the first 10 minutes. But they did not count on was that the superior opposition, Qatar, would just blitz them. And Qatar came flying out of the blocks, right? So, yes, I don't think this happens, but yeah, right? With Australia backline mostly taller, playing Sunil or Ishan.
Sunil, there's no
There's no
no
Ishan.
Ishan
Yeah, there's
option
no
there.
Ishan option. I,
Sorry, Ishan is not an option, guys.
And
yeah,
Ishan is not that much taller either.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Where is the creativity in the midfield? Very good question. Very good question. Right?
We're
Sandeep,
trying.
you want to take this?
We are doing the
Hmm.
defense first,
Hmm.
attack later kind of a thing. So creativity is one long ball or one quick out pass.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, the only clearly creative midfielder is
Hmm.
Sahal. You have
Sorry.
Liston who is capable of
Of
doing
the X
something
factor
different.
of
Yeah,
breaking the defense open, yeah.
yeah.
But
He can dribble. He can shoot. He can
you
do those
expect
things.
he'll come out against a tired defense. He'll drag those tired defenses. You expect that he's a last 30
Yeah. So
player, right?
if Australia is not, let's say it's nil
Already
nil at 60 minutes, right?
3 4 goals clear, yeah. If
Or
they're
nil
already
nil
three
at
four
60
goals,
minutes.
yeah.
Let's say for some weird thing
Hmm.
they didn't take India seriously or whatever, then they will have to go all out attack. That's when
Hmm.
I guess somebody like Liston, with his
Hmm.
ability to dribble and speed and the
Hmm.
fact that he can shoot from distance without
Hmm.
much backlift, also all of that
Hmm.
is going to be a big thing.
Big
I just
factor.
wish Sahal was fitter. Maybe you could have played a 4-4-1-1 or a 4-4-2 or something in that case.
Absolutely. I think the beauty of Sahal is that he he's matured with time. I feel his decisions have become much better, and
Juan will
and
never get credit for it.
Juan will never get credit because and as much as I am in two minds about the fandom. I'm happy that we have such fervent fandom back home, but the bigger picture is often missing, right?
Yeah.
The number of players Juan has just improved in his time in India is crazy, right? But while a Manolo, and rightfully so, gets credit for it, right? While even an Owen Coyle should get credit for some of the players, Ritwik Das, for example, right? Uh, Juan Ferrando never did, right? For example,
Yeah.
I saw Anwar Ali had actually gotten better since.
Yeah, yeah.
And remember, Anwar was also with Juan on the first half of the season, if I remember there, right? So the number of players that these coaches improve are crazy, and also I think it's a bit of disrespect to Manveer because he did get you that goal against Kuwait. After all, he did get
Mm.
you that goal. I
It's
understand
true.
this. Yeah, and I don't know. The thing is, being Manveer can sometimes be a highly frustrating player. I get that, right? As can a lot of Indian footballers. But you know, Manveer's service to the national team or Manveer's importance cannot be overstated, right? Because this is a guy who's literally forced his way in. Manveer was playing the Santosh Trophy. Then he was playing for a Mohammedan which was barely floundering in the second division. Before Constantine kind of and Constant, this is where you have to give credit to Constant also.
He saw the
Stephen Wood,
game.
yeah,
He
sorry.
saw the games. He went and scouted Santosh Trophy, no?
He,
He found him.
yeah, he picked up Manveer from a Santosh Trophy. He went. Of course, nothing happened with Arjun to do, but he picked up Arjun to do from a
Army
uh,
Green or something, no? He
from
was.
Army Green. He picked up Vignesh from a University Games, if I'm not
Mm.
mistaken, right? So Constantine believed in the fact that seeing is believing. He was on the ground, right? Whereas, and no offense to him, also Stimac has the equally good Mahesh Gawli doing it for him. And Mahesh Gawli is really good at this kind of stuff, right? Mahesh Gawli is one of the coaches we actually give credit for, right? Because we only heard good things about Gawli as opposed to a lot of Indian coaches. Yeah. So yes, next question. Sandeep, you want to take this with Australia backline mostly taller Stimash playing Chetri or Manveer up top?
I think he'll go with Chetri just purely because
Huh.
that is the obvious thing, and Manveer probably on the right side.
On the right side, yeah. And it's sad that Changte will never be in a better form for an Asian Cup, right?
Hmm.
He was a bit young the last time. He'll be slightly old the next time. This is peak Changte, but simply because of Manvi's work rate, we expect Manvi to get the nod. Yes,
Changte can maybe play on the other side instead of Mahesh
Yeah,
staying
Mahesh
on.
Chante can actually play on the left as well.
on the side. But I feel Changte is much more deadlier when he's cutting in
Yeah,
from
Yeah, onto his
the
left.
right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, a different house. Wales FC from Chennai playing directly in the I League from next season. Direct entry. I have no. What do you say? I have no knowledge of this.
I
Uh,
was told by an ex Chennai, not ex Chennai player, a Chennai player,
hmm,
that Wales is coming into the I League. I
okay.
don't know if he meant I League or I League 2, but
Two.
he was convinced that it was I League.
Okay.
I have
They,
not actually dug into it much since he
okay.
told me this.
You want to give our viewers a brief insight into Wales? Do you have any insight into Wales that you can share?
They were actually a good local team once
Okay.
upon a time. Dharmaraj Ravan and all of them
Hmm.
played for that team at one point.
Hmm. Okay.
And then once Chennai sort of, that ecosystem sort of died
Hmm.
in the last 5, 6 years ago,
Hmm.
from whatever happened with the administrative apathy and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So they have been struggling since Chennai City shut down. Also, Chennai
Hmm.
City allowed a lot of players chances to come and play.
Hmm.
Now Wales, who is I am not sure if they are like this historic sort of name, but they
Hmm.
have been there for a very long time.
Okay.
I don't know from where the money is coming in because I assumed FC Madras would be the one that is going to
Hmm.
make the waves.
Hmm.
So I think they got investment from somewhere and they're coming in.
Yeah.
I'll dig into it a little bit more and tell you
Yeah.
guys next time.
Yeah.
I just
And we'll
wanted
try to get the Wales guy. If possible, we'll try to get the Wales guys also on our
yeah,
pod. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Injury time, the only pod that keeps its promise. Yeah. No, I'm not going to I'm not going to commit that. Yeah. Do you think we should keep a conservative approach every time we face a top Asian nation? Beautiful question. Agree with you. And I think somewhere it comes out of seeing our team adopt a backseat every time. But the truth is that um international football doesn't have much scope for experimentation or for being gung ho. It's not, we're not at that stage where we're not at a Vietnam stage where, say, we have the confidence to take on the elite, right? Where there are days where we could pull off the odd result. But I mean, I agree with you, Srinidhi. The only way we change our outlook is if we try. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, I think we are trying.
We are.
Given the last few games
Hmm.
that we've seen India play,
We are. Yeah.
on the international stage, I do think that we are trying to implement it. But yes, at this point in time, it is about biding time in that situation.
Ah,
So yeah, it's going to be flexible like that. But I mean, I don't think there's any lack of effort in the place where we are
aha.
trying to change that bit, where we are not completely
Hmm.
on the backseat as well.
I'd also like to say that we currently don't have the personnel for the gung ho approach. Perhaps with an improvement in culture, in the way our system works, in the ecosystem, the number of matches played, in coaching, in all of these factors, perhaps in 10 years we'll be producing the players, or 15 years, right? If we catch them suppose at 3 or 4, right, we'll be producing the players who can take the game to a top Asian opposition, right? For example, right now, there used to be a time where we used to sit back against Kuwait, but we don't do that anymore. We don't do that against Lebanon anymore. So, Srinidhi, if you're an old fan of the Indian football team, maybe try and remember back to rewind back to 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, even as recent as 15, 16, right? We'd see an opposition, and like Sandeep, I, Abby, Naveen, we would know that, yeah, this is exactly how we're playing. Like we're holding back. Now I like it that now there's a bit of mystery. Will we go for it? Will we won't? Like there is a bit of change. And like I said, credit where it's due to stay match. Sandeep?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I also think it came at the right time. Also, like I we always talk about this, the how the national team should play,
Hmm.
and how it should sort of resonate with the people
Hmm.
watching the game.
Hmm.
As Indians, we want to see we are fighting to have a good life, but we are also at a point where we are sort of expanding and going beyond and things like that. So I always feel this team, the
Hmm.
2011 team was when we were all struggling. Like our careers are parallel, right? We were all like early on living paycheck to paycheck and all that kind of stuff. And India playing like backs to the wall was like how we live our lives.
It was bread and butter for us because
Yeah,
we'd go to write a report and we'd know that
yeah.
this is how they're playing, right?
Yeah, but now it's slightly things
Make
have
the
changed.
structure. You can just fill in the details later.
Yeah, fill in the details, right?
Yeah.
Template. Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's changing a little bit, and we are thinking about bigger things or trying to move forward as people
Mhm.
who are growing up and things like that. So I think it reflects the society in by and
Yeah.
large.
Yeah.
Like how Ganguly's Indian team
Yeah.
showed the world, like sorry, Indian cricket team, how
Hmm.
like hum kisi se kam nahi kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
we are not there.
We're not there.
I'm not saying we're not there, but we are
But
a
we
little
might
bit
get there.
opening up.
There
Yeah,
are there are green shoots. There are definitely positive signs,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
definitely.
And this coming from the most critical pod on Indian football, you should take this
Yeah. And
very
Srinidhi
seriously.
was 7 in 2011, so he has not seen it.
He
He's
has
not
not
seen.
seen it. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's not seen us
he has not seen it.
struggles.
They're not seeing it. God, I feel like, no,
I'll
good.
tell you
Sorry,
what it was like. He
sorry
would just
for
sit.
thinking you're old, Srinidhi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Srinidhi, next time get
2000,
yeah, Srinidhi, next
2000.
time get your kiddo friends to also subscribe to the pod,
Yeah,
and yeah.
we in the Indian national team would just sit, but we had really good players, as like
That's
technically good, right? We
that's
had
the point.
the Goan wingers who were all great. Later on, we
Huh.
had Rowland and Eugene at the peak of their powers. We had
Dude.
really technically good players, but we
Huh.
still just sat in one place and then
Yeah.
just hooked the ball to the other corner. Robin Singh would run behind it, and it was a single.
Robin Singh.
Robin worked so hard for that team, man. My
Lord
God.
Robin. Even like I said, Robin also never got his, because people would,
No.
people would give him shit for, well, being Robin. Also, Robin also got a lot of shit because he'd mouth off, right? He was a quotomatic. He'd give a lot of
Yeah,
quotable
but
quotes, and
he was an honest player, though. I always
yeah,
look at him and think
no,
he's an
no.
honest player.
I
He
mean,
was,
he was box office. He's entertainment, right? He's
yeah,
entertaining, right? And
yeah,
don't forget, in 2011, which I think is one of India's finest squads, India played South Korea, Australia, and a Bahrain who were on the verge of qualifying to the World Cup.
yeah.
Like
It's a
that
tough.
is, yeah, this is the group of death, and that was the group of hell, right? But
Hmm.
India did try to take the game to the opposition. India did manage to score goals also in that tough ass group, right? And I'm just going to pull up the squad so that people know, right?
Yeah, Renedy
Sorry,
scored, right? That free kick.
sorry.
Renedy scored, right?
Yeah, and Renedy, people know Renedy the coach, but people forget Renedy the lovely dead ball, like set piece
Yeah,
taker. It was headed. The coach was the lovely Bob Houghton, one of the best coaches India's ever had, to be very honest, right? You had Spider Man between the sticks, and
Gurpreet was on the bench. Yeah,
and remember Sandeep, Spider Man being in crazy form.
yeah, yeah. He was at like what you call the peak of his powers. That
Yeah, yeah, might have considered more against both Australia and South Korea had Spider
Papach
Man.
and Pradeep was there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Pradeep,
Govind
Renedy.
Singh, obviously, a fantastic defender. NS Manju, probably a left field choice, but yes, he had a lot of caps.
Yeah,
Rakesh Masi disappeared a bit. Anwar Ali, this is not this is a senior. This
yeah,
is senior Anwar Ali, who went on to also have a kind of an illustrate. Your
good
Baldeep
career.
Singh, You had NP Pradeep. This kind of shocked a lot of people because people thought that this would be Mehtab Singh's spot. Yeah, Mehtab Hussain.
But Pradeep was in good form at that time. You remember those goals
Agreed,
against
Exactly.
India and stuff like that in the
agreed.
final.
But
Yeah.
Mehtab Hussain was Mehtab Hussain, right? He'd
Yeah,
destroy,
yeah, absolutely.
he'd take you by the collar and he'd bring you down. He was like Liam Neeson on the pitch. I'll
Hmm.
find you and I'll break your legs types, right?
Yeah.
So, and
Vanity,
Vanity Singh,
Clifford,
what a lovely,
lovely
lovely
player.
player. Like what
I
skills?
don't. The sad thing is, not many people remember him. What a good winger and a set piece
What?
specialist he was.
Yes, exactly. I,
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people remember
Let's just skip the number 9 because I don't want to be too critical here. But if I can, I don't want to make the parallel. Forget it. He was a pandita of his times. Yeah, let's just put it that charitably. The number 9.
Clifford,
Uh,
brilliant
Clifford
player.
Miranda was great. People again
Brilliant.
it. Yeah, yeah.
like
Again, people
couldn't-
don't know how good a
yeah.
player he was.
Clifford
Very
was
few people could
so good.
cross a ball like Clifford Miranda could, right?
Yeah. Look at
Yeah.
the backline. Mahesh Kavali
Oh,
and Gormangi.
Gaurav, that is,
Yeah.
and Sandeep,
Class backline.
for the 20 odd years that I mean I've been watching the national team for about 20 odd years,
Hmm.
and you can tell me if you how long, but Goli and Mangi have to be the best pairing.
Best.
Yes, that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we've
Best.
seen. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
doubt,
Hey,
no
Deepak
doubt.
Pandal is also there.
Deepak Bondal was a flying fullback. He was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Mehrajuddin Wadu is
You,
also there.
you had an injured Bhutia going to
Hmm.
the Asian Cup. Um, did not get to see a lot of Surkumar Singh wasn't bad on his day.
No.
No, he
Yeah.
wasn't. Right?
Rafika.
Climax. Yeah.
Rafika for us is a big player in Kerala.
Kerala. Yes.
Yeah, Rafika.
Yes. If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
you're still pals with Rafika.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and also because Rafika's played in the Asian Cup, do let us know, guys, if you want Rafika to appear during this Asian Cup time. I can't guarantee it, but Sandeep will definitely try because Sandeep
I'll
and
try.
Rafika are
He's
good.
busy now, but we'll see. I'll try and call.
Yeah, but it's Asian Cup and Rafika has played in Asian Cup, right?
Yeah.
And uh, you had
Climax
Subhashish.
Lawrence. Oh, what a he that Dempo team. If you see that how many Dempos
And
are there,
look at the people from them, right?
fantastic.
You have an
Yes.
Anwar Ali, you have a Clifford Miranda, you have a Mahesh Goli, you have a Climax Lawrence, you have Subhashish Roy Chaudhary. Like it's
Climax was also
You
fantastic.
actually don't need to know which year this is if you just
ha,
look right and
ha,
see the clubs
Yeah.
that these guys are coming
ha.
from.
Look at Sunil Chetri, Sporting Kansas City. That never worked out. Sad as though it maybe never worked out though. Right, but Steven Dias, I know, like as a coach, like he might be hit and miss, but again, a fantastic set piece operator, Steven Dias.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This was the glory days of Goan football, and
yeah.
all of them were in Churchill and Dempo and Sporting, all of
Uh,
Yeah.
that.
uh.
Fantastic.
And
It was
Salgaonkar.
when Goan football was
yeah,
Yeah.
ripe.
yeah.
There's a story that I think Mangi had just moved to I think
Mm,
Salgaonkar. No, Churchill. Mangi had just moved to Churchill,
mm,
and he was playing against one of this Dempo matches, and during one of those fights that took off,
mm,
one the Indian center half I forgot. Is
mm.
it the current Dempo coach? I think.
Samir Naik.
Yeah, Samir Naik, I think it was
Mm.
who hit him. And then this guy was standing far behind. Mangi was standing away from all the commotion. Then Mangi was like, "Why मेरे को क्यों मारा?"
Mm.
And then he came and said, "Sorry, गलती हो गया."
Uh, no, and like I said, Indian football at that time was completely dominated by either the Calcutta clubs, and you look at and that will really tell you as to how much Indian football has diversified since those days,
Yeah,
right?
that day
Look
you
at the
had
number.
three clubs in Kolkata,
Yeah, MDS
four
also.
clubs in Goa.
Four clubs in Calcutta. I'm sorry, United. We forget United SC. Nabab
Then you had
Bhattacharya's.
Churchill, Sporting, Dempo, Salgaonkar.
And
Yeah, maybe
Vasco
Sessa was there. Vasco Sessa was there
Vasco
here
for a
and there.
brief while, Sporting Club de
Yeah.
Goa for a while.
So they all
So,
played in one place.
huh.
Four
It was
four
also
home games plus
huh,
three other away games
the
were
away
also home
games,
games.
yeah. No, yeah. It just essentially travel to Calcutta and travel back to Goa and all of your
And
uh,
JCT is somewhere in that side, in the north.
JCT.
That's
But
it.
it should have forgotten the JCT are also former champions, right? And
Yeah.
you had guys like, in fact, this guy here, number 15, Baichung Bhutia, right? One of
Hmm.
his best seasons came at uh, JCT.
Yeah. Renedy was there. Sunil was
Yeah,
there. A lot of them were there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, enough
Great
of the
team.
nostalgia. Let's go back to the
Yeah.
questions. I don't think we should sleep
Yes.
on Brandon. He is playing some good football at Go. Agreed. Definitely agree
I
with you.
still don't buy. I mean, I think something, his level has dropped. I don't
His
know
level
why.
is dropped. Also, if you remember a few years ago, Stimash made a comment saying some people play like Maradona in training, but when it comes to the match, they chicken out. I think all of the insiders, all of us who follow Indian football know that was kind of aimed at Brandon only. It was aimed at
Hmm.
Brandon, right? There is no doubt that Brandon's one of our
He's
best.
technically, I think, best player we have.
Technically, he's in the top five Indian players currently, also, right? He's right
I
up there
keep
with a
forgetting
Sahal.
about him though.
Huh?
Unfortunately, I keep forgetting about him for some reason.
Yeah,
He does not deserve it. It's my fault, but
yeah.
for some
No,
reason it just
and
keeps
no,
happening.
I've spoken to a lot of coaches also. I've spoken to people who are not from FC Goal, like neutrals. Some people say, you know what, I love Brandon, right? Yeah, people say I love Brandon when he's on the ball, but when the team doesn't have possession, Brandon sometimes becomes a passenger, and we know Brandon can't tackle
Hmm.
for shit, right? We know that Brandon's a bit lightweight there. Unfortunately, Indian football's at that stage where Indian football and the coach, and rightly so, because of style we are at currently, prefer physical beasts over intelligent players. But Brandon Fernandez is definitely one of our most intelligent. I don't think there's any doubting
Yeah.
that, right? Roshan Gurul, I think, asked same question on Twitter. See match should Sunil start on asking what you can do. Uh, Sandeep, I don't know if you saw, but Eric Partalu went on
Yes,
420
yes.
grams
I
and he
was
said,
texting him about it earlier before I
huh,
came.
but I can't envision a scenario where Sunil doesn't
Even I can't.
Sunil doesn't start.
I mean, Eric made a good point,
He
but
made a good
I
point.
really can't see a situation where Sunil doesn't start. And Eric himself said why Sunil will start. Like, that odd free kick or a penalty or something that comes, you
Uh,
need him.
yeah.
There was another
And
point.
plus,
Please, yeah.
even though we do, obviously obviously it's his age and everything, all of those things, but I still see him as one of the most hardworking people in
Hmm.
the team.
Hmm.
He still runs around. He still, of course, he has that presence as well, where he can create space for others also and guide others in terms of their movement,
No.
to help them move better. So all of these factors in in big ticket games like we have obviously coming up, I mean, does make a difference.
But Eric, in that conversation, I don't know if you saw, there
Hmm.
was also a discussion about Stimatch's comments about Asian Cup,
Hmm.
which frankly has baffled me
Hmm.
to say that this is not the most important. Like, if you keep pushing
I
kicking the can down the road and saying the next one is always the most important, how does it work? It's
I
like a
kind of
skill
I,
system only.
I kind of understand those. If I was to just play the devil's advocate here, right? I get it. That comment on most days would have infuriated the most ardent of Indian football fans, right? But you look at it from the coach's psychology, right? He's missing a huge chunk of his players, right? He is going in with essentially a makeshift squad. I know a lot of his regulars are missing, and a lot of his backups are also missing. Right? It's not
How
just one
many
or
are
two.
missing? Real, honestly, when you're looking at it.
Sahal might not even step onto
So,
the pitch.
Sahal,
Right?
Jackson,
Jackson, Anwar,
Anwar.
the
Yeah,
most important.
Anwar.
three.
That's three starters out of
Hmm.
11. Out of 11, that's three out of 11 is a huge number. Look,
Hmm.
think about it. There are others are also who are injured who might have played a bit part role. Right? I'm
So,
trying to
so
remember, but
by the
yeah.
same argument, if none of them are fit for the World Cup qualifiers,
Uh,
so are you going to say next Asian
no,
Cup
no,
was our aim?
No, no, I'm not. I'm not defending Stimash. Hear
No,
me
no,
out.
no. I'm just saying like that
Huh.
I can't
I'm trying to
justify
play devil's
using that as
advocate.
the.
What I think Stimac is trying to do, he's trying to take some of the pressure off the players, right? Because, and let's face it, Sandeep and Abreshmina, Indian football's had the highest following it ever has. This Asian Cup will probably the most followed tournament in Indian football's history, right? Given the recent number of followers that the SAF Cup and the other three tournament
Intercontinental.
victories have added, Intercontinental Cup, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
No, no,
So,
no. I am fully okay with
hmm,
India not qualifying and everything. What I want to
huh,
see is a good performance. I
it's a
don't
good
have a problem if
performance.
you play hard and
Agreed.
then you lose.
Agreed,
That's
agreed. All
I'm
of us
fine with
have
it.
that. Huh.
Yeah.
So I think, and honestly, I won't totally blame Stimash for it. That he's trying to take the sting out of the pressure by kind of taking the fizz out of situation by saying, "Listen, just go out there, enjoy yourselves, lads. Play like you have nothing to lose."
Yeah, they have
Right?
nothing
But
to lose.
again, we do have nothing to lose.
Hmm.
Just
It's a
play.
given. It's a narrative that is out there.
Hmm.
My only point is, if as fans, okay, if we are invested in the
Hmm.
tournament, if we want to watch these games, we want to see how India performs, and you tell us that, these games are not important. You're ticking people
Yeah,
off.
I mean, see, look, Stimac has an ability to tick people off, right? We've seen that. We've seen that with him. We see, some other comments also where it very disappointing after the Qatar match where he said, I think he said something and it really ticked a lot of people off, right? But I honestly think, and Sandeep, this is just something because we're so entrenched in football, right? All the three of us, we don't see that it's only a small portion of the fans who have a realistic view of what's going to come in these three matches, right?
True.
uh
But
True, right?
here is also the other side, right? Like
Huh.
Abby said,
Hmm.
this is your World Cup.
Yeah,
There is
this is your
nothing
World Cup,
beyond you.
100%.
Right.
You are
So
not
you
making it to a World Cup anytime in the near future, so this is
absolutely.
your world. This is your
So
World Cup.
you go there and say that we are here, we are in over our heads here, but we are going to go do our absolute darnest, and whoever plays us, even if they win, they'll go with a bloody nose.
Huh.
That has to be the story that if I was the coach, if I was the player, that's the
Huh.
story that I'm going to say. If
That
I
I
go
think.
tell them, if I
Hmm.
tell a fan that the third round of a World Cup qualifier is more important, that is not a tangible thing for any fan. Like you and me and people listening to this will be like, yeah, yeah, third round is important. You'll get more games, blah, blah, blah. But if you're not at the World Cup, people don't care.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they'll never. It's the same thing, right? You might get one or two big nations to
Hmm.
come and play in India or something.
Wow.
That's about it. But otherwise, this has to be, you have to go there with I feel, and I've
Huh.
defended Stimats a lot. I fought with Naveen when Naveen is
Huh.
going hard on Stimats and everything.
Huh.
But this comment, I was like, yeah, yeah, nahi. Like you were bought in to play the Asian Cup.
Huh.
Now you are here. I understand that you're trying to sort of take the pressure off. You're
Hmm.
trying to say, make, you'll get the
Hmm.
signature from your parent early enough, no? So that something bad happens 2 weeks later, you're okay. That kind of a situation you're doing. I see that kind of situation, but
Huh.
it's not for me, man. Like
See,
honestly,
again, like I said, I think the plan is to give the other teams a bloody nose, right? The other plan is to, for Syria, I definitely think we will give them a close fight. Syria,
might not
Australia,
beat them. Who knows?
yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
Australia and Uzbekistan, I I'm going to be very, very honest here. It might seem brutally honest, but I don't see us getting anything out of the game. Simply because Australia's too good side, even if they don't possess the technical excellence of a Japan, for example. I
they're
saw
the
them
World Cup
against
side, right? Year in, year
their
out, they're
World
in
Cup
the World
side.
Cup.
Yeah, they are, and 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 correct me if I'm wrong, Sandeep. Except that draw against Qatar, 99 times, if 100 times, if we play a World Cup side, we are going to lose 99
Yeah, yeah,
times.
for sure.
Yeah.
And since then, we played Qatar and we lost, no, all of the games.
We lost. We lost. We lost both the times after that. We
Yeah,
lost the home leg also. We do nil nil in Qatar. We lost the
yeah.
home leg 1
And
nil.
then we lost this time also.
We lost this time 3 nil also. And I know we're saying that oh, we gave them a good fight, but then I had a look at the overview of the game. When we drew against Qatar, that game we had it was 26 shots to 2. This time it was more like 20 to 4 or 5. We are progressing.
We are
We are in
progressing.
the right. We've
And we
actually
played better this time.
we
Though we
played
lost
better
last
in
time,
the 3-0
we played
loss.
better.
We played better in
Yeah.
the 3-0 loss than in the 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
We actually did, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think a lot of social media or score lines. I mean, sometimes you have to look into go deeper. Simply, you have to
Yeah.
see,
Look at
Yeah.
the
look at
game,
the
Let's
game.
go. Let's see.
not the highlights.
Just play hard and that's it.
Yeah. By the way, before I forget,
Okay.
what do you guys do on this? I think we've all moved to between the three of us, we have almost 3 decades of experience in covering Indian football. We are pretty entrenched. Sandeep still goes to every game. So do Abby and I. Unfortunately, in Delhi, we may not have access to a lot of ISL games, but
Yeah.
we're both
They
licensed.
watch a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we,
They're both
we're
licensed
both
coaches.
licensed coaches. We run our own foundation program. So we are pretty interested in football. Of course, something has to pay the bills. So, but the day Indian football gets lucrative, at least two out of these three people, and the two could be include Sandeep also. We leave everything for for Indian football, and that's how much we love Indian football. To be very honest, right?
Yeah, that's why while we get zero money for this, we
Yeah,
still keep doing this.
and people may not realize it. Injury time is the oldest pod, guys, in the
Yeah,
country covering
we suck
Indian
at
football.
that's what happened.
Yeah, we were shit at marketing it,
Yeah.
but which is why we reached 1K followers after 7 years. But you look at our old podcasts, you'll find all of the guests. You'll find any
Yeah,
and every
we
guest. Yeah,
used to get a lot of
It's
guests.
quality over quantity, guys, here
yeah.
at Injury
Yeah.
Time.
That's true.
No, but I know a guy who goes on who goes on his pod and shouts Jai Hind, Indian football and all that. Not going to do that nonsense. We are going to obviously always discuss qualitative, but yes, if you guys want us to do some light stuff, we do that also. We
Yeah.
poke a
And
lot of
to
fun.
be fair, also, whatever we say before the pod, we make sure we speak to the right people,
Yeah,
uh, get as much details as possible,
yeah,
and then come and say. That's why we didn't talk much about Wales and all because we don't know a lot.
yeah, yeah,
But we will find out and we will
yeah. No,
get
we'll
back to
never faff out of our ass like certain YouTube channels. But yeah, going back to questions, what do you guys think of recent Assam Football New Stadium? Stadium, guys, another stadium. Like stadium, to theek hai, but where are the players going to come from? So you know, yeah, let's see.
But their stadium's fine, no? The one in Guwahati is fine.
I think Himanta Biswa Sarma has announced that they're going to build a new international quality stadium. And just so that I'm going to be brutally honest, politicians love to fixate on stadiums because it's an easy fix. Because it's they love the big bang projects, right? Not saying it's a bad project, but starting a baby league or maybe ensuring that they have they have a lot more games in the ecosystem, right? That might have been a better use of that money. And trust me, guys, with the money makes it takes to make a stadium, you can fund a football in a state for a long time. We're talking at least a decade. Not kidding at all, right? And I see you guys nodding. I don't think there's any disagreement from you
No.
guys on this point at all, right? So
Recollecting his days when he was not a family man.
family man,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yes. Those
yeah.
are not the best of days.
Yeah.
Let me say.
I wish JJ wasn't injured so badly that he had to retire. Not bad now that he has become MLA. Yes, it's great news for Indian football. I think three Indian football related people became MLS
Hmm.
that day in
Tete,
Mizoram
him,
only.
and
And
yeah,
Robert Royte. Yeah, the only
yeah.
thing is Robert Royte is of the opposition, so I don't
Hmm.
think he gets a lot of
Yeah,
power.
yeah.
But Tete Hamar as the Mizoram Minister for Sport, this is huge. This is huge, guys. This is a
Hmm.
guy who knows sport, being in the right position at the right time, and just pray that the problem for Tete Hamar is that, and we've spoken, there are no MNCs in Mizoram. There's nobody putting in CSR fund. Mizoram isn't a rich state like a Maharashtra or a Karnataka or a Delhi or a UP, right? For that matter. So like so yes, I still think he will make the most of what he has, knowing Tete. And I think JJ also, JJ and Tete are in the same party. So as long as JJ follows Tete's wings, I think we have two very good administrators, especially when it comes to Indian football. That Bahrain match was crazy as hell. Yeah, you remember. Like, it was the entire tournament, I think, was super fun because we went in with zero expectation. At that point of time, I think 10 people would follow Indian football, right? 2012 mein, we talk about, oh, why isn't this under 17 match broadcast? 2012 mein, our entire top league wasn't on broadcast. We had to follow.
What? Forget. Up until 2015, 2014, 15, all games are not broadcasted.
Always not
It
broadcasted.
was a struggle
It was a
to
struggle.
find.
Yeah, I had to go through the paper. Oh, this is what happened, right?
Yeah.
And but back then, platforms like Hard Tackle, Goal.com would do crazy amount
Our
of
tackle was
journalism.
very good.
Hard Tackle is very good, right? And
Yeah, it
which
was.
we are doing?
A lot of actually at that time
Hmm.
it was these couple of platforms
Yeah,
through which you actually understood so much of football analytics
yeah, yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah,
Ashish Negi was doing stuff even then.
yeah, yeah. And
His Indian football. I heard this rumor. I'm not sure, huh?
it's not
But
a
his
rumor.
Indian
It's not a
football.
rumor. It's true. You can drop the bomb on injury time. You
His
can drop the
Indian
bomb. It's not a
football
rumor.
for
It's true.
football Facebook page was taken over by AIFF. He gave it
Yeah.
to AIFF because he had the page.
And he had the
So
number of followers
he had the
also.
number of followers also. That's what I heard. So and he
It's
gave it
true.
without any qualms. He gave it for free. He
He
didn't
gave
ask
it.
for
Yeah, yeah.
money or anything like that.
No, no. I think and we have to mention Negi and Khel now because they provide almost blanket coverage of
Yeah.
Indian football. Abhi. Like, there's one platform doing, like, forget quality, like, forget like who's doing like superlative match reports or analysis, right? Just covering Indian football as an entirety is a very difficult task. It's a
Yeah.
huge ass country. Sorry, it's a huge country. It is huge. So kudos, Ashish, if you're watching this. I know you're not watching this, but if you
I'll
are,
tell him to watch it. I'll not tell him the time.
why are coaches so adamant on some of the players like Stimach, Udanta, Arteta, and Havertz, Ten Hag? It's because Srinidhi, they believe in some intrinsic values of the players that we are not privy to. We as outsiders not privy to, and um, during the,
And it's also the
it's
combinations.
also a
Sometimes
combination.
some combinations just work for
Yeah,
coaches.
it's the qualities that they bring to the pitch that you may not always be aware of. You may look at Udanta and be like, this guy wastes 9 of the 10 balls that he gets, right? But you don't look at the fact that Udanta will track back, will run like a terrier for the 90 minutes, right? So we at injury time, we've kind of started to move away from the fan angle. We've tried to try to walk in Stimach's shoes, right? And it's not just this thing. Even under constant, also Udanta would be frustrating, but Udanta has his moments, and Udanta has his qualities that he brings to the team, right? As ludicrous as it might sound to somebody who started watching Udanta in maybe 2022 or 2023, right? Um, Udanta has done enough to make the bus to Qatar or flight to Qatar, Sandeep.
I mean, I think this time it's a little bit because, like you said, right? You know what you're getting from Udanta. Like Isaac is probably at this moment someone Isaac, not Isaac. Isaac is one who probably deserves a spot
Isaac
ahead of
Ralte, man, it's Isaac Ralte is a huge miss.
Isaac. Okay, sorry, keep getting confused between both.
It's Isaac Soma and
But
Isaac
one month
Anmol.
Soma.
No,
Yeah.
Soma is what
So,
short में
Yeah,
उसको,
yeah.
every
so they
Rizzo
deserve that space.
has a
But with
that guy.
Udanta, you know what you're getting, and he's
Yeah,
played at this level
yeah,
before. There is a certain
yeah,
amount of
yeah.
trust, and he
Uh,
listens to what the coach wants. Like that's his team. Constantine had players as well, so
Also,
it's
Udant,
great that I mean, it's not.
considering it's a very young squad, and Sandeep, we looked at the 2011 squad. That is a pretty old and
Hmm.
experienced squad with a lot of people on the wrong side of 25, 26, 27, right? This, on the other hand,
Yeah,
is a very, very young
they stayed
squad.
together since around 2007.
Eight,
Bob
huh?
Houghton put
When
it
they won
eight,
the AFC
2008 when
Challenge
they
Cup,
won the Challenge
AFC
Cup.
Challenge
They
Cup in
stayed together
2008.
for a few years.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
Stimach
Yeah.
and even Constantine did not have that luxury of keeping
Hmm.
one set group that went on for 5 6 years. They
We
have to keep chopping and
guys,
changing.
we have a golden comment from Prad.
Hmm.
Judge Indian players on what they have to do without the ball. 90 10, they won't have to.
Yes,
Yes, exactly.
exactly what we are talking
That's
about.
always the
Right.
one
Yeah.
who
Yeah. 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 If
I
if
watched. I keep telling him. I watched a match with him. What
hmm.
I was seeing and what he was seeing are two very different things. It's
Brad
insane.
has inbuilt
I'm sure.
3D
I'm sure.
goggles that we
Yeah.
don't.
Mm.
And I was asking, what are you watching? Let me also watch the same thing. So
Uh, yeah. Yeah.
It will take time,
Yeah. Yeah.
Sandeep.
yeah,
Yeah. Once
I don't
Brad
think
A
he's
lot.
that good
once
ever.
once Brad starts his podcast, we're all out of business. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
Kalyan blocked me on Twitter. I can't do anything.
I saw
can't,
the
can't do anything. Yeah. And just going back to Pratt. Pratt is somebody who knows Udanta for like a decade, has seen him. Like if
yeah,
and
scouted
I think
him because of him. Him
yeah,
and Richard Hood are the
yeah.
ones who.
And he mentioned this on the last pod also. Don't take our word for it, take Pratt's word for it. Pratt did talk
Yeah,
about Udanta's qualities and what he brings. Right? So uh, I'm so happy. Roshan GK agrees with me. He says some operate take pressure squad. I am saying let's not for some time. Let's just press the mute buttons to match and let's see what happens in the three matches. You know he's going to do some shit housery. You know he's going to try and rile you up with his comments. Both his fans, the opposition fans, opposition players, his officials, opposition, everybody. But let's just go by what happens on the pitch. Let's forget what he's saying is just a appetizer. Concentrate on the main course. Yeah, Stimach is lowballing himself and teams who are the pressure and hatred on the players get reduced. If we lose games, we already know Indian
we
expect too
spoke
much.
about
Football is
this. I
not a
mean,
one match.
I feel like
Agreed. Yeah, yeah. Stimach should go to Big Boss. Agree. Agree.
Big Boss is the
Um,
Salman Khan show. Is that
I
Big
I
Brother?
guess yeah. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
the Indian version of Big Brother, right? Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Got this from the Asian Game podcast that after the opening game, the maximum crowd they expect were three Indian games. Yeah. Yeah. The huge contingent going there, right? We only
A
Also,
lot,
also there
huge
are
contingent staying there.
Hmm.
exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Oh.
The massive amount of Indians staying in Qatar.
Man knows to be center of attraction at tweets. No idea who this is for. It's a
This was for Stimach
okay.
only when we were talking about
Stimac
Stimach.
probably got his interviewing skills from Miroslav Blazevic, after whom he played briefly. So off the script interviews, more pressure off the this thing. Yeah, I think there's a question for Abresh Meena, right? How the way she interested in she appreciates because most Indian women literally not interested in football, especially in men's football. I think it's a generalization. We have a lot of women, but Abresh Meena, go on.
There, yeah, there are a lot of women interested in football and who follow football.
Hmm.
Uh, I think during the times now, I think you will find a lot more women who are genuinely like more deeply interested in football. The times that we grew up in had very limited access, and also you have to understand how the Indian society has grown. So for women to be associated with sports, for women to be watching sports, it's just the fabric of the society has been different and it's developing. So I think with that, the
Yeah.
rest of the things develop.
Let me flip the question, the namesake, right? How many organizations in India, how many clubs in India, including the AFF, right? How many of them cater to the female gender as a possible consumer and a customer base? Let me just ask you this question point blank, and Abrishmin and Sandeep, both of you can answer this question. For me, the answer is yeah,
No, they don't. I mean, there is no such initiative that is
none.
taken to to be inclusive,
Hmm.
and that's the main problem. There's no strategy made. Even when we talk about women's
Hmm.
football, there's no strategy really made
Hmm.
to be extremely inclusive and to put that at the
Hmm.
forefront. Because at the end of the day, the people who will be involved with women's football will be the people following football in general as well.
Hmm.
So if you build that strong base, you will have a very strong contingent of female fans as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, okay. Yeah, Deepesh, you want your number. And probably Deepesh also probably remembers the game at the Ambedkar. That was a crazy, crazy game, right? In the rain pouring down, 11,000 in the Ambedkar. Good old days. Can't back then when Delhi still had a thriving football. I won't say thriving, like a football culture.
Football
The
scene. Let's not.
yeah, football scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know of Eastern Sporting Union? We really hope so. But situations just
They'll
turning wrong.
play the qualifiers though. I am
Yeah,
quite
they
sure
won't
about
come
the
back
fact.
because they I think they will get auto relegated because of
They
uh
can't afford it. Yes, you cannot afford to play this format of
yeah
IWL.
oh yes.
Yeah.
Good point. Yes, you can't afford to play this format also. They don't have the funds. They were helped by a friend of mine who used to run a foundation in Bombay. His name was Tejesh, and hats off to Tejesh. Those guys supported ESU for the longest time. Those guys, so like crazy, right? You remember days we used to follow you, Kerala, Chirag through local newspapers. Yes,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, right. This happened around this thing, yes, Negi's page, yes. Absolutely love his insight in football show. Yeah, agree. Very good show. Right. I'm not gonna do that, Brendan D'Souza. Right. Uh, yeah. Pride Reddy agreed. Like I said, uh, the Asian Cup squad doesn't have the height going to bosses. Yeah, that is pretty much this thing, right? New circles. It's possible that Sahal won't play any of the Asian games. Big miss.
But if he was not
Yeah,
going, he was
depends on
going
the
to miss
recovery.
two-thirds of the games.
Two-thirds of games anyway. First two games
Why
anyway.
would you pick him?
I don't think it's worth the risk. I don't think you should aggravate the injury. I don't think so. Right?
Fine. I mean,
This
I'm
isn't
happy that
a,
he's there. It's great for him
uh,
to get the
no
experience for the
no.
next 10 or
This isn't Subasa or Blue Lock or one of those
Hungry
the
Heart.
things where yeah, guy is injured, but some divine. This isn't an anime or cartoon. Can't do that. It's not feasible. It's not advisable at all. Right? We remember it. We remember who was taken off in the World Cup final. Somebody was taken off injured in the World Cup final. Remember when Germany was playing? Somebody was taken off immediately, and then Christoph Kramer came in. If you remember the Germany versus Argentina final, somebody went off with tears, right?
It's
You
very
remember
tender.
Diego Costa in one of the Champions League finals
Yeah,
taken
yeah.
off. He wasn't 100% fit. He started and then ten minutes on he was.
Yeah, he had
So there is
to go off. Yeah.
absolutely no point at all. And speaking of anime, yes, somebody who hasn't watched Awashi,
Oh,
please watch it. All right. We're coming to the end of YouTube comments. We'll go to Twitter. Oz and Uzbek will bring India under attack for not playing high rank opponents at least half of matches. And if we qualify for World Cup third round, let's see. That'll happen when it happens. We haven't qualified for the third round yet, right? So let's do that first. Yeah, guys. What about Tete Hamad? We already spoke about it. We'll try and get him on a pod, but he's an extremely busy man right now. If he had like 10 minutes in a day before, now he has absolutely no. Right. Odisha may be on walking steps to that goal. Guys, what about the Abby? You want to take this up quickly?
So obviously this comes from the culture where more women actually are involved with football and play more football and develop a career in the same. So it comes from there. And yes, I mean, this is how development happens. I mean, you have to involve um the women in all aspects of the game. It just doesn't have to be the as a footballer, but in other aspects, as obviously as coaches, as referees, as commentators. So that is how the overall ecosystem develops. So yeah, I mean, definitely a good
Huh.
move.
And also, just to back up Abby's point, you have the best women referees, and he's rightly said, do come from the northeast. You have Ranjita Tekcham from the northeast. You have Riolang Dhar from the northeast. That's one from Manipur, one from Meghalaya. They're really good referees. You have Kanika Burman, who took charge of the IWL final this time. She is from Calcutta. She's not from West Bengal. She's not from northeast, but um, with women referees also they need a lot more matches, right? Same like the players. They need more matches to get better. also. So yes, okay. Japan inter-college football 50K spectators crazy. Aomori Yamada fourth title. What a dynasty, especially in a country. And I was reading this, and if Deepesh reading this, he'll also this thing. I was reading that Japan has a five-tier school football system, with the only the first two being the national tiers. The rest are all prefecture based, which honestly blows my mind.
Yeah,
Which is crazy, right? And Aomori Yamada managing to win four titles in, I think it's 8 or 9 years, amongst so many teams, right? That is even more crazier, right? And keep in mind that they are not one of the premier. Uh, Aomori is not one of the premier industrial this thing centers also, right? Aomori is not a Tokyo or a Kyoto or any of those places, right? So, can we have a female referee in ISL? Thankfully, soon. Brishman, do you just want to go over to the Twitter question so that you can?
Yes. So Avik had asked the first question: how is Trevor going to teach set pieces when the height gap is one to
I
two
just forget
feet?
it. I think.
Uh, okay. How about a 4-3-3 with Mahesh as false nine, Manveer on right and Changte on left, Liston, Sunil, and Vikram after 60 minutes for something.
Hmm.
That was
I
just
mean, I
somebody who had
can't think
asked
of a
what
false
what
nine.
we think.
Mahesh playing false nine. Just
I can't think of
doesn't
anything
make
in India
Yeah,
playing false
exactly.
nine. Yeah.
anybody in India can play false nine.
Again,
Okay,
I'm
so
I'm going to say
somebody
this might sound very controversial, but the the newer Sahal, the new version of Sahal. I'm not praising him to the moon, but the guy's really coming along. So
um so same person Vishnu had also he has also put a predicted lineup versus Australia,
uh,
so which is essentially
mm, yeah.
4-3-3 with Mishra on the left, Bheke and Jingan as centre back, Gurpreet in goal,
Mm,
and Chunga on the right back position.
mm,
Then you, as defensive midfielder, there's Deepak Tangvi,
mm,
Apuya on the left
mm.
centre midfield, and Suresh on the right.
Suresh, yeah,
Manveer on like in front three, Manveer on
yeah,
right, Chetri in middle, and Mahesh on
yeah.
left.
Tangri and Chunga, I don't think play at all.
Yeah.
Tangri and Chungra don't play at all, because simply because of the fact that they don't have a lot of experience. And just for everybody's this thing also, Tangri and Vikram Pratap are the only ones to have not won a full international cap yet. They are the uncapped players in the squad. So I don't see Stimach inserting them into the fire. But there's one name that Vishnu mentioned in one of his comments, Preetham Kotal. And the disrespect, because Sandeep, even we didn't speak about Preetham Kotal and all the discussion we had. You know that Preetham is solid. Preetham's probably too old. They're not as mobile as he used to be to play that right back slot that he used to play under Constantine. But at centre back, given that this guy still has a lot of international experience under his belt and has enjoyed a couple of very good seasons, would you or would you not, over Beke, right? Would you not put Pritham Kotal as the second centre back, or even if they're playing? Sorry.
Not over.
Okay. Okay.
I really like it. I think
Your voice.
can you hear me now?
Okay. Sandeep seems to have experiencing some network issues. Um,
Yeah.
Abreshpina, Pritham Kotal is somebody who you don't need an introduction to. I mean, having been a ex Dynamo's fan, Pritham
Yeah.
Kotal's Pritham Kotal's a name that you're really familiar. We've seen him. We've seen him play here.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think Pritham also sometimes gets more disrespect than he should?
Um, do think so. I think, see, I just feel he is one of those players who does the dirty work.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
Hmm.
I I honestly think if you are in his shoes and he knows what he's doing and he has the context, I'm not sure he will even feel bad about
Hmm.
it. Because he knows he's not going to be the glamorous one and he's not going to get that glamour. So I don't think he is even looking for it by being the player that
Hmm.
he is.
Hmm. Also, one more thing about Pritham Kotal is that he's a serial winner. This guy has multiple trophies even
Yeah.
at the club level, right? Whether the
Yeah.
ISL, the I League, or the or the Durand Cup that finished, right? Or Pritham Kotal's won a lot of trophies. Like he's gone to Kerala. He's slowly, what do you say? He's slowly making a rep for himself there also, right? It was a risky move for him moving away from uh, what frankly was a childhood club, right? You have to think that he grew up being all Mon Bagan. So risky move, but seems to have paid off well. Abresh Mina, and they're pretty their defense is pretty tight this year.
Yeah, it has been. See, obviously, Pritham does provide that compactness and that solidity at the back, right?
Hmm.
But especially if you see it in the Indian context also,
Hmm.
um, you would put him if you need to go really hard at defense,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Otherwise, in terms of flexibility of movement and in odd, and if you know, at any given point in time, if you're looking as an outlet
Hmm.
or somebody who'd take the game
Hmm.
forward, he's not your man.
Hmm. Right. But Sandeep, we also remember Pritham Bodal being a bombing right back. There, I think
Mm, yeah,
we're
yeah,
experiencing, yeah, we're
definitely.
experiencing some network issues, Sandeep, with you. But even though you're patchy, I hope you can hear me. So, Pritham Kotal, the right back, or the Pritham Kotal, the centre back.
I used to like Pritham Kotal, the right back, as a player, but I think as a character, I think Pritham Kotal, the centre half, he's grown into that
Yeah,
leadership role over the
yeah,
last few
yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah. All right. I think with that we come to an end with the discussion. We'll just
Yeah.
quickly take a roundup. I think Super Cup. We saw Hyderabad FC putting up a very spirited fight, right? Even though they went down 3-2 to East Bengal, and you have the Mohun Bagan Super Giants who played Srinidhi today. So 2-1. They Sadiku with the winner there. Obviously a post Ferrando Mohun Bagan. But yeah, let's let's hope to catch more of Super Cup. It's been a bit of a muted start. Kumar Reddy, the last comment saying, did not have experience of AFC Champions League. Of course, AFC and international are levels above the ISL. We've known this from everybody we've spoken to. Can you expect a win against Syria and draw for Uzbek? Win against Syria perhaps will be difficult. Draw Uzbek, there is a infinitesimal chance of that happening. Very small chance,
Yeah.
but we'll have to be really compact and really airtight that day, or maybe get a goal from somewhere because Uzbek are going to come at us hard, right? Uzbek, Sandeep, remember the
Is it
early
VAR?
2010s where that is VAR, yeah.
Is that VAR? In
There is,
okay,
there is, there is.
gone
It's a
only.
continental
Yeah,
tournament,
I'm
yeah.
gone.
So uh, on that note, thanks guys for tuning in. I know we said it would be short, but again we went overboard. But help us get to 2,000 subscribers. That's our next target. And guys, please follow us on Instagram because we don't have a lot of following there. We're trying to make Insta more regular, but right. Spirited
That is that.
Fight, aka trial for a new job club, the Chan.
What is that?
Spirited
Okay.
fight, aka trial for
He was talking about
I
Hyderabad
think
FC,
so.
no? So I think.
I think so. Oh my god, we should have pride on every episode. I'm telling you, we should have pride on every episode.
Yeah, but it's true that a lot of the players in
It's true. It's
Hyderabad
true.
are in the
It's true.
shopping window.
Everybody's
They are the
fighting for
shopping
Yeah.
now.
window. The second and third choice players are hoping that the first choice players leave.
Okay. Yeah.
Ouch.
Everybody's hoping that that the first choice, that the first choice go off, and then maybe they get to play for Hyderabad FC till the end of the season. Don't forget, we'll be expecting a mass exodus. Yasir for sure is being tapped up by Odisha FC, right? Sana Pujari may also be on the move, and Hyderabad's more like Hunger Games, possibly, possibly. But it's not just that; it's everybody, including the coaching staff. Everybody's kind of fighting, right? Everybody's fighting. For,
Before my there is
mm,
a few times Bharat has asked questions about ISL sponsor. I
yeah.
have a one who tweeted that they had got a
Mm,
sponsor, which they did, but apparently because it's
mm,
such a start-stop season, they have not been able
mm,
to
mm.
figure it out in the end. This is all
Yeah.
just because there was 3 games and then there was a break, another 3 games there was a break, and now there is another month break. So the
Mm,
title sponsor is like saying, it's not worth our money. This much money is not worth or whatever. So they've not been able to come into a final terms. But I would
mm.
assume that it's going to happen sometime once the season resumes. Let's hope so.
Huh.
But yeah, when I got the information, they said it was more or less done.
Huh. And obviously, a very, very, very predictable sponsor, like India,
Predictable sponsor.
like like India playing one of those big teams in the early 2010s, like we spoke about, right? Aram Nasim, we're going to take one more question, and surprisingly, Aram Nasim, you also share a name with Abrish Mina's younger sister. Uh, if I say CFC management is one of the worst of ISL, would you all agree? I have a Latin phrase for this. It's called quis custodiet ipso custodes, which means, Sandeep, do you know
This
what
is
it
not
means?
Latin. This is just some bullshit that you
You know what?
came up with.
Yeah, no, it means who will guard the guards in Latin, and
Oh.
or rather, who will watch the watchmen in Latin, and you make of that what you will, but will not go deeper into it. But yes, yes, one day, do hope all of the news will come out. Pending Hyderabad investor, I think we spoke about this a previous episode. Long process for that to happen. Right. Go back to our previous episode. We spoke about it with Naveen. Right. But yeah, players will be leaving in mass. They fielded all. We are going to see get used to seeing Hyderabad just trundling along till the end of the season. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for that, Bhadwaj. And Abby, do you want to end with your usual PSA of subscribe, like, and share?
Yes, once again, guys, I'm the one doing the important and important conversation here. Please
Yeah.
subscribe,
Yeah.
like, share, comment, and make us big. Thank
Yes.
you.
2000 subscribers. Let's go. Okay. Bye bye.
Cheers.
Bye bye.
Bye. And no.